All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar today. I'm going to get into the slideshow in a minute and I'll talk about myself and everything else. But I just want to thank you for joining me in my new home and welcoming you here as part of my community, whether you have known me, worked with me, or are new. I'm really honored that you would take your time to be present to this information today and for dropping in on this. So let's see, I want to let you know that if you did not know this and you're on live, that there is a chat button at the bottom, and I will try to keep track of this, and you can make a message just to me because I'm the panelist, or you can do it to an attendee, or you can, you see somebody on the list that you can message them individually. So that's a way that you can ask questions and so on, and I'll have some time for answering those questions at the end. And so just so you know what's happening here, and I'm going to share my little slideshow here. Super fun. And so welcome to How to Channel. I wanted to keep this as a super simple webinar title of, how do we have these spiritual connections? And this is mediumship and channeling and the spiritual connection work. And so I want to give you some basics of this. So as we're moving through here, and I just want to make sure, can you see my little slideshow? You should be able to see it. Okay. That we're moving from doubt and fear and lack of understanding and different kinds of blocks and beliefs. And we're moving into authentic, effective, safe, sustainable, integrated mastery. And basically, if you have worked with me before, if you know anything about my work or have worked with me individually or so on, like, this is my jam, right? Like, I want you to be the most authentic you possibly can. I want you to be effective and safe. I want it to be sustainable on your system, on your body, on your energy, on your life. I don't want you to get blown out. And I want you to be able, all of us, to be able to land into this sense of having an integrated mastery, that what we're experiencing, we're able to integrate it into our lives and into our work, and we're able to be, greater contributions. Because I believe then you get to do your work. This isn't about me and you doing my work. This is about you doing your work, and to do that with more confidence and to have that bigger impact that we're looking for to really change the world. I think that's what we're here for, right? So stick around to the end. There's going to be some bonuses, and just be present. I will have a lot to say, and I might speak a little quickly because there's not a lot of time, and your time is so valuable, and I don't want to go over too much. And so just be present so that you can just get the pieces. I actually would suggest that you write some of this stuff down, because then afterwards, I think it's really important for you to look at the different things that I'm talking about here, and then to analyze yourself and do a self-assessment process as to where you're at now, where you want to go, what are the tools and skills that you need to move forward, where do you want to focus some of your attention toward in these different aspects of what we're looking at. So if any of these sound familiar, that I feel connected, but I'm not sure how to translate what I'm receiving. This seems a big one. Anybody have this? Like, you can give me a yes or a little emoji or something. I'm not sure how to translate this, right? I'm just like, well, I'm getting something, but what does it mean? Or I'm not sure if I'm safe. Maybe I had experiences in the past or when I was a kid and they kind of were scary or a little weird, or I had this experience and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, or, I know that I'm connected. Like, I know this is who I am, And there's still all of these like doubts that come in. So I'm not sharing what's coming through, or I'm not practicing. Tiffany's saying that last one really resonates. I know I can do it, but the doubt just jumps in all the time. I know that one. It's like, what? No, did that really just happen? Did I really just say that? Did that really come out of my mouth? Did I really mean that? Is that resonate with that person? Is that helpful? You know, these are the things that come into our head, right? Yeah, how to translate and to work through the doubt. And the doubt is probably one of our biggest ones in this work, because it's so amorphous. It's like you can't, you know, unless you have someone in front of you and you can collaborate on, this is what I'm getting to, it's really challenging, especially on your own, in your own little pod by yourself on your meditation cushion, because you don't have any other feedback in your life coming in to help you with that doubt piece. And sometimes it's just like, well, this is really fantastical. Like, I must be making this up, right? I must be crazy. Or maybe I'm not sure what I'm connecting to. Like, is it good or is it not? Am I doing the right thing? Is what I'm experiencing real? Am I making all of this up? Am I totally insane? Those might be coming up. Or how can I manage my energy while doing this kind of work? Maybe you've noticed that it might feel energetically intense, or like it's creating a lot of shifts in your life. And so it's like, how do I have this stuff and real life and have them both work together? Does anybody have that? And just this sense of like, yeah, I know that this is me. I know I'm powerful, but now what? What do I do with this? Like, how does this work with the world? How does this fit into reality, right? Or maybe you're feeling like there's still aspects of myself that I don't know fully. Maybe I'm not quite sure exactly who I am in this. You know, or I'm committed to learning, you know, how to master my craft to the next level so I can serve big. So maybe that's just where you're at. And that's why you're here today, because you're really have this innate sense of a desire towards mastery. So you're always looking for the next thing. So I'm really happy if you're here. And you know that you're important work to do, and it can't wait, right? You can't wait any longer. So you want to take action, live on purpose. Okay, here, you're great. You're in the right place. And so we've got some different messages coming in about experiences and stuff like that. And you know, what we're experiencing. So who am I? If you don't know me, if you're new to my work, I am a shamanic and Chinese energetic medicine practitioner. I am a student of Taoist mysticism, working towards a Taoist priesthood and working in internal alchemy practices. I'm a coach, a channel, a healer. I've been doing this for a long time. And I have been training healers, coaches, channels, empaths, entrepreneurs, and leaders. And I really focus on that process of spiritual awakening, cultivating gifts and skills, and then how do you bring that stuff to the world and translate it into your creations. And the reason that you know, I'm doing this is because like I had a super intense spiritual awakening. It was radical and messy and confusing. I started channeling basically out of nowhere. I was incorporating beings, which means having spirits come inside of my body, which can be super intense, and trance channeling, visions, messages, lots of speaking in tongues, lots of energy movement, lots of messy stuff that I couldn't explain, I couldn't control, and I didn't know what to do with. I didn't understand it. I didn't have context. I didn't get what mediumship was. I didn't know how to work with the gifts. I didn't know how to open right. I didn't know how to close for sure. And then even after I had been doing this for quite a while, I just hid. I didn't let people know that this was part of who I was. I was really afraid that someone was going to find me out and I was going to accidentally start speaking in tongues in front of people. I didn't want even my healing work. I didn't want people to know that I was doing this. And I felt a lot of doubt. and a lot of fear and a lot of lack of control. And it was super confusing for me. And I had a hard time finding the right teachers. But over time, in my definitely big quest, I was training, studying with lots of different teachers and mentors, and developing my gifts and confronting myself and all the places I needed to heal. And over many years, I found my voice and my work. And my work really is to support you, to support the healers and coaches, all the magic people who are going through these experiences. So what I want you to really imagine and feel into, breathe into your body around, is a sense of feeling confidence in your mediumship, your channeling work, your healing work, in your connection to source and to spirits and so on. And to know and feel like on a deep sense that you have the tools that you need to be safe and to do this work with ease. And in that, to do deeper, more effective work. Like that's what it's really all about, right? Is how do we be of greater service? What's that process we're going to go through to get there? And, so also you get to charge more, you get more clients, you get to, work with more interesting, fascinating experiences with people, and move past like all those sneaky old doubts, programs, fears, all the things that keep us from being expressed. This is important because, you deserve to be fully aligned and expressed and known. You deserve to do your work without fear and doubt and all of these things that hold you back. That, it's important that we have support, because this support that we're bringing in, the information, the guidance, the healing that we can connect to, it can transform your life radically. It can make major changes. And while those changes sometimes aren't the easiest, they're always traveling toward a higher expression of who you are and a higher life. And in this, you get to be of greater support to the evolution of consciousness on the planet, to the collective, to your personal lineage, through your family history, to healing yourself and to others. And in that, get to have more ease and joy and peace and certainty. And this is also important because it is really easy to get lost and confused and overwhelmed. And when you have missteps, they can really take you out, either energetically kind of mess you up, or with your own beliefs. If you have something that happens and it can cause you just to shut down because you don't have the context or the tools to deal with it, it can really take you out. And there really isn't a lot of support for this in the real world for people who are interested and designed towards this kind of work. Yeah. And I have a lot of stories here. People are talking about, I can't explain what the heck is happening to me, and yeah, maybe you have a husband, you have friends, I know that I asked all my friends, like, what is happening to me? Can you explain this? And they were like, no, I've never seen that before. And I was like, I've never seen it before either. I don't know what this is. You're already connected. You're already connected to these realms, and it takes a willingness to find mastery and to understand your place and how to interact with integrity and precision. And it takes some work. I'm not going to lie to you. This is, a lot of times we have like a spiritual awakening and we start connecting to stuff, and then we're like, oh, okay, great, I got it. But there's always stuff that comes up. There's always these new awarenesses or these new experiences that come in that cause us to really have to grow and to move through things inside, internally, energetically for ourselves. So I've been looking at, like, what are we missing as we're going through these experiences? Maybe you're having experiences, or you feel like there's something there that you've been shutting down for a long time. A lot of times that happens when we're kids. We have an experience, we shut it down, we shut down ourselves. Or there's been some sort of instigation experience, maybe medicine work, meditation work, yoga, breath work, something like that. Something's happening. We're having more awareness, more consciousness. And, you know, what are we missing? I wanted to break this down and make it as simple as I could. And what do you actually need to focus on? So I came up with these 4 pillars and then 3 main steps of spiritual connection. And I'll tell you, there's 3 main steps, but I've broken those down into like 11. So I wanted it to sound like it's simple. It's not as simple as that. So let's just start with pillar 1, which is, of course, to know thyself, right? Know you. You are the essence of all of this. You are the medium. You are the channel. And when sometimes we come to this work because we want something outside of us to give us the answers. We want something outside of us to solve our problems. We want to abdicate responsibility. We want to give up all, you know, everything. That's not what we're here to do. I will always, always, always be calling you back to yourself, because the more that you know yourself, the more that you understand yourself, the greater your discernment is, the more that you understand what you're bringing through, the more that you understand what you're connected to, the more you accept and love yourself. And all of those things make this easier. And the core of this is, one of the pieces is to really be in an active exploration of what your why is, why you want to do this work, why it resonates with you, what your higher mission is, what it's here to serve in your life and then in your service. So your why, and where you're coming from. Because in essence, where you're coming from is where you're going. So are you seeking to connect from fear and I'm a victim, I need to be saved, I'm really messed up, I really, you know, need all of this help? Or are you actively seeking to shift your own consciousness so that you are connecting from a place of a higher and higher and higher virtuous self, of higher values, of all of this? You know, it's working on yourself. You're going to have to work on yourself here. Sorry. I wish I could say that we didn't have to work on ourselves in this, but we do. We have to work on our own consciousness. We have to work on the way our thoughts are working in ourselves. We have to like start looking at our thoughts. We have to understand when our thoughts are not our thoughts and start to shift our thoughts in a more positive way. Whew, that's, you know, so shake that out, because it's kind of like, that's the hard work, right? We have to understand the ways that we receive individually, because each one of you is going to be different. You're going to receive in different ways. You're going to have different triggers as to how you open and close your channel. You're going to have different sort of spiritual streams of information and energy that you're connected to that are different from other people's. And it's so important to understand the different forms that mediumship can take, and then to try them out so that you figure out what you're good at naturally, and then where your growth edges are, and then maybe how to use those different understandings to make this easier. Because you might be channeling in a way or receiving information in a way that you actually could be receiving it just as effectively and more simply, more easy for your body. So in that, you know, we have to look at all the places that we have judgment of this kind of work, that we have judgment of spiritual work or spiritual practitioners, that we have judgment of what it means to be psychic or intuitive or an empath or a channel, like all of those things, where we're comparing ourselves to other people in the way that they receive or they channel, and where we're fearful, where we fear beings, where we fear energy, where we fear darkness, and where we doubt ourselves, where we allow all of those pieces to doubt, and then to develop our sense of sovereignty. And really, if you weren't doing any kind of channeling or mediumship work and you were just working on this first pillar, your life would get better no matter what. So the pillar number 2, so the first one is all about you and knowing yourself. and your consciousness, your thoughts. Like, what are you focusing on? What are you focusing toward? What's the future self that you're focusing toward? What are you shifting within yourself to be in that higher alignment with what you're asking to call in, right? So the second pillar is on being that channel, on embodying it. And in the embodiment process is working on your energy body, your vibrational, your vibration, understanding your energy body and how to work with it, how to do different practices that are going to raise your vibration of your energy field, how to project your energy field and make it more robust, more strong, more able to fill a space completely with your energy, to understand where you have a kind of wounded aspects of self and things like that that need to be shifted, and to develop the functional tools of being a channel. Of what does it mean? Opening, closing, clearing, invocating, like all of these are functional tools. And then starting to build those relationships. So just the same as you would be building a relationship and a partnership with a human, you're developing relationships with the spiritual forces that you're connecting to through agreements and contracts and boundaries and what do you want? What do you not want? How are you being devotional? How are you expressing gratitude? How are you cultivating the space around you so that it's a welcoming presence for the kind of energy that you're drawing in? And that means everything in your life has to be in alignment with what you're calling in. The space that you're in, your altars, your words, your thoughts, your actions, your relationships, your way of being, all of these things need to be looked at. So you're building relationships with the other, you're building relationship with self, you're building relationship with space, you're building relationship with time, you're building relationship with energy. All of these things are an important part of the pillar of embodying what the channel means, embodying what the channel means in the world. Does this resonate for you guys? Is this like, oh yeah, this is what I've been working on. This is where I'm at. This is what I've been actively changing my environment, my thoughts, my feelings, my words. All of these things are important in this embodiment process. You need to learn how to work the medium, and you are the medium. So just the same as if you were coming to me to go to art school and you wanted to be an oil painter, you would start to learn how to work the medium. You would learn how to work the paints and to add the oil to the paint so that it would last longer and it would be more glossy, and how to wash the brushes properly, and what kind of solvents to use, and what kind of colors to put next to each other to get the effect that you're looking for. You're learning how to work the medium, and that takes practice and practices. And so that's practice, doing the work, being consistent, having a container for this kind of work on a regular basis, and engaging in the energetic and spiritual practices, the physical practices. To people, you have to be embodied inside your body to be a great channel, really, so that it's really effective without blowing you out. To do those practices on a regular basis so that you are in the space that you can be in to do this kind of work. And that requires consistency. And the thing that I have seen over and over and over again is that people open their channel, they go do medicine work, they start doing some sort of thing, they go to some kind of healer, something opens up in them. They start having stuff move through them, they're having energy move through, they're shaking and speaking in tongues, or they're having awareness, or you have a great meditation and something's connecting to them, something's tapping them on the shoulder. And then they just don't have any consistency. There's no container for this to happen. And when there's no container for mediumship and you are a medium, what happens, and when I say medium, I mean like a channel, what happens is it bleeds over into the rest of your life. And then you start seeing anxiety, depression, illness, overwhelm, chaos, lack of sleep, being disturbed at night, these kinds of things. If you don't have a container, if you don't have bookends, if you don't have, I'm open, I'm closed, all of that, right? So let's talk about pillar 3. Pillar 3 is about really stepping into a state of mastery. And mastery requires you to both know yourself, to know your practices, to know your consistent things that you're doing, and to practice an element, a very serious embodiment of your boundaries and your discernment, and what you're connecting to, what you're not, when you're connecting, when you're not, and to practice what works for you, your triggers and tools, and to practice and practice and practice. This requires practice. The more that you practice it, I will tell you, it just gets easier. It just becomes like, well, now that's easy. It's an easy thing. It's not such a big deal anymore. And the more you practice it, the less doubt you have, the less fear you have, the more confident you feel. But a lot of people don't give themselves space to practice this, and they don't have a container for practice because something comes up and then they shut down. So they don't have, you don't have someone to reflect or to hold the space for you. So that can be challenging. Pillar number 4 is when we start to integrate this. And this is really important because a lot of times we don't know what to do with this stuff. We'll know what to do with the information. Like, how much do you share? How much do you not share? If you know something about someone, do you tell them or not? Where is that appropriate? Where is it not appropriate? How are you going to handle the shifts of vibration in your body? Because as you connect to higher realms, you are asking your vibrational field to move up. And these other beings and energies are moving their vibrational field down a little bit. So you want to be really kind and move up as far as you possibly can. And if you don't understand things like working through your higher self and your mediumship mentors, which I'll talk about in another time, then you can be requesting too radical of a shift in your vibration, which can affect your physical body. And then there are certain needs of the physical body and channeling work that aren't the same as in other kinds of work. It does things to the body. It makes requests of the physical energetic bodies that have to be addressed and looked at in terms of hydration, sleep, food, nutrition, minerals, energy practices, physical practices, all kinds of things. Super important what's going on with your physical body. And then how do you integrate this into your life, into your work, into coming out, into talking about it, into talking to your partner or your friends, into bringing it into client sessions, into how does it integrate into maybe you're doing coaching work? You know, what does it look like? Do you talk about it? Do you not talk about it? Do you just and if you're not going to talk about it, then how are you going to figure out the way that you receive in a way that doesn't look like, like it's a big deal? Or maybe you do talk about it. So these 4 pillars are basically that you're working on yourself, your inner consciousness work, which is, of course, the lifelong for all of us, right? To work on ourselves. There's energetic development, awareness, and mastery of yourself. And then understanding the spiritual forces, the streams of information that you're connected to, and building those relationships in a functional way, in a way that's going to support you, in a way that feels yummy and good, and to understand what it is that you're connected to. And sometimes the things you're connected to are the things you don't want to be connected to. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients who are like, well, I don't want to be connected to dead people. I don't want to see deceased people, or I don't want to have aliens. That's super scary. And then they start connecting and they're like, oh, it's totally aliens, right? And it's because maybe as a kid, there was a dead person or there was an alien and that freaked you out. And so you're like, anything but that. And so it takes a bit to get okay with the fact that oh, okay, great. And then to understand The way that you work with different beings is different. The way that you are tapping into different streams of information, there's actually different processes and procedures for that. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And that's a super fascinating thing because there's consistent ways of connecting to anything. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. But then there's also specific ways that you connect to different streams of information. So you're utilizing the skills and the connections to support your life and work. So that's really that integrated aspect of self, which kind of takes the longest really, is to find where your integration piece is. I know it took me a long time to figure out how this fit into my life and how it worked and how it supported my work. And I did it in a lot of different ways and tried a lot of different things to really understand what I wanted to do with it. Okay, are you guys a yes to this? I'm going to give you the full roadmap in a minute. So those are the 4 basic pillars, and that makes sense, right? Like I don't think I'm getting too radical out there into what it actually takes to do this kind of work. This makes sense. Yes? Anyone? Yes? So we're going to go into that whole roadmap of the pillars in a minute, but I want to also drop in to the 3 steps of spiritual connection. And I'm going to encourage you to be taking notes. Again, I already said at the beginning, but take some notes here so that you can analyze where you're at and what you need to be working on. And so there's 3 main steps, and then I'm breaking those down even further. I've been working on this a long time, so just here we go. If we want to make this super simple, step 1 is to prepare. Just the same. So I said relationships, right? So you're in a relationship with someone, maybe you really like this person, they're awesome, cute, and you're going to go on a date with them. You are going to prepare for the date. You're going to take a shower, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to put on something decent, you're going to make your bed, you're going to, like, there's all of this stuff you do before you choose to connect to them. So same. You're going to clear, which means to clear yourself, to clean yourself, to take that shower and brush your teeth, to clear away energetically anything that you're holding on to in your field. Because there's thought forms of, oh, and then for breakfast I had this, and oh, I had a fight with so-and-so, and oh, I need to buy this at the grocery store. And there's all of this mess inside of our field, right? There's mess from other people that we saw at the grocery store that's coming at us and sort of blubbering about on top of us. We need to clear all of that stuff off. And we need to clear our chimney of spiritual information that we're receiving. If you saw the masterclass Anatomy of a Channel, I go into this quite deeply and give you a clearing practice. So, we need to clear this area. We need to clear our heart. We need to clear our throat. We need to sort of clear away all of this stuff that's sort of been in our field that we've been creating, so that we can get to that space, so that we can center ourselves, which requires a regular practice of working with the central channel and understanding what it means to be fully centered inside of your being and clear, vibrating from a pure light inside the central channel, to ground into the earth. Very important, which a lot of people miss. They don't actually do grounding work enough. They don't do enough embodiment work. They think that spiritual work is all about this up here and connecting up here. And really, that is the perfect way to fuck this up. That is the perfect way to cause chi deviations of basically your energy moving in the wrong directions, to create hallucinations, to have misinformation come in and mistranslation of information. So if you don't have a solid grounding practice, embodiment practice, right now, circle it, underline it, figure that one out for yourself. If you need help with that, let me know. Okay, then there's the sourcing. So sourcing from divine light, sourcing from love, learning how to receive love and divine light, moving through whatever blocks you have to that. So being able to connect into that source point. and raise your vibration. Little tip here, one of the best ways to raise your vibration is to focus on gratitude, to focus on everything that you're grateful for, and then to also be working on the energy body, to learn about your field, to learn about your internal vibration, to raise your vibrational state, to raise it to the point where you can actually illuminate the entire space that you're in. So you're illuminating the entire room, the entire space that you're in, so that you can create that sacred space, so that you are protection. You are the thing that you're often looking for outside of yourself. You are that. And within that, then you are creating the ability to connect to beings, to light, to love, to information, to guidance, to healing, to illumination coming at you that is actually what you want to be connected to. Feels good. It has purpose. It has clarity. It means something. It's not just blither blath, right? We can get connected into blither blath. All right, so that's step one, right? You prepare for your date, right? All of these things, you prepare for the date. Then you connect, right? You go on a date with this person. You want to, when you go on a date, what do? Well, you maybe go to their house, you go pick them up, you meet them somewhere, they come get you, whatever. You connect with them, you connect with, your heart and your presence, and you're grateful they're there. You're thankful that they, that they're so great that they would want to date you. You want to know what they want to do. You want to know, like, where are we going, or how do you want to spend our date together? You go, you do things that are fun for you. And you just hang out, right? You're present. You ask questions. You show up. You show up for this date because you really like this person and you want to see this go somewhere. So now you're on your date. So step 2 is to date, is to connect, just like you would on your date. And so that's being an inquiry, like, why are you there? Hey, are you there because, this is, what kind of relationship are you looking for? What are you looking for? Information, for guidance, for healing, for supporting the collective, for supporting the environment, for supporting peace on earth, for supporting your client? What is your purpose? Are you doing healing work right now? Or are you working on your family lineage? And those might be different dates that you're on. You might not, it's like you wear different clothes to the date, you're going to this different date. So you need to understand that a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, I'm just connecting in, but there's not a lot of like interaction. It's sort of like, if you've ever been on a date and that person just doesn't really have anything to say, you don't want to be that person on the date, right? You want to be engaging, and you want to ask questions, and you want to have some sort of connection with this person. So the invocation process is really important. And the process that you are using invocation, and to invoke means to call from over there. You're going to call them on the phone, call them over to here and now, to this present moment, to be present with you. Who are you invoking? Yeah, sort of inquiry could be similar or different from intention. So you might have an intention to connect, and then there's also like inquiry, like, we can be asking really specific questions here. We can be asking specific questions about our life, but specific questions on, how do we connect more deeply? Or what's this process of the way that I connect? So similar and or different, right? So we can be, the intention can be to connect to a specific stream of information or a specific being, a specific guide, but then we can also have the inquiry that is for this person. So I call upon and invoke the presence of Archangel Raphael for the purpose of healing this person that I am in presence with, for their highest of healings, so that they may receive the blessings. And so in that, there's my invocation to work with this being for the purpose of the inquiry. I would love if there's any information that I could offer this person for their highest of healings that that they may, you know, is there any information that I can help them with? Is there anything that I should know about their energy body that's going to help me to give them a clearing that's going to support their health and well-being? Is there anything I should know about what they're eating? Is there any information, right? So there's all of these questions we can be asking. I call upon, so kind of like, I call upon and I invoke the presence of for the purpose of. So within that, we get to invoke and call in, and we get to have an inquiry. Like, what are we doing there? Why are we there? What are we about, right? Do you want a relationship where you're, you know, what kind of relationship do you want? And then we're working on our triggers and tools. So these are the things that work for you. What works for you might not work for other people. So it might be a specific breathing technique, hand technique, clearing technique, way that you move your body, words that you say. I used to use, I have a specific, namo sevesirete nuri kriyananai sevesirete turini kriyananawe sevesirete turini yawe nawe sivisidu tu krina siara. So so in that, that's an invocation that is I have used for many years, which will activate my channel. So if I have enough control now that I can come back to you. But if I had done that a few years ago, it would have been, I'd been off on an adventure and we'd be just receiving channeling stuff. So there's different things, different movements in the body, these triggers, these tools that you're developing, what works for you. And then presence and patience, just like you would on a date, just being present. You're listening to them talk about their dog or their kid or what they're doing at work. And you're just being present and patient and kind and gracious and loving inside of the experience. Even if you get nothing, even if nothing happens, something still might be happening. But even if you get nothing, you're going to be awesome, right? Even if you don't get to have sex with a person, you're still going to be nice. Like, it's not dependent on them doing something for you in order for you to be grateful, in order for you to be loving, in order for you to be present and to be in the energy of the experience. This is actually a huge piece, because so often we're like, well, if I'm not getting the answer, or getting what I want, or, you know, it's all about me, and it's gross. It's gross. Stop it. If you were dating that way, nobody would like you. Nobody would want to go out with you again. So stop doing that. Stop being so selfish. Okay. Step 3, close it down, right? You got to leave the date. You got to get out of there. If you don't ever leave, it's some sort of codependent mess, right? And that's what happens. If we don't close the container, it becomes this codependent, messy energetic that's happening with, you know, these realms. And the way that we, because spirits can come in, and some spirits will actually, they need energy to be present, and they might be, you know, slowly pulling, not personal, but pulling a little bit of energy from you in order to maintain the presence and the connection. So you really don't want them just hanging out constantly, right? And you want your own space. You want to be alone sometimes. You are a sovereign being. You are in control of yourself, and you get to be alone sometimes. And that's important, that we're not creating codependent, messy relationships here and becoming, you know, like that. So you don't want to be in a codependent relationship where you go on a date with somebody and then you just stay at their house and you never leave again. That's weird. You want to leave the date. You want to be in so much gratitude, so much thankfulness, so much appreciation. Your heart is overflowing with love and appreciation and gratitude, even if you don't get the answer that you want. That is going to continue to raise your vibration and make your connections more successful. You close the container, and this also will have specific physical actions that you're doing that is closing down the channels that you have opened up in your energetic and your physical body, because that's what's interacting with these realms. So you want to close those things down. You want to close down the container and release the energies from the space. And then you want to clean yourself to do practices that are going to clear you of any residual energy that you might have collected, any kind of spiritual debris. You want to make sure you're coming back to yourself. You're, cutting those cords and you're just you, because that's what you want to be. In the end, you want to know who you are. And then to reflect, to write, to sit with, to meditate with whatever you're receiving, even if it's just a color, even if it's just an energy, you just want to sit and be present with it. And then to see where action comes in. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going with this? What does this mean to you? How is this a benefit to your life? If it's not a benefit to your life, maybe it's something you just throw out and you don't need to mess with it. If it is a benefit to your life and it's telling you like, hey, you need to get your shit together and start exercising, like maybe you need to get up and go do some push-ups right now. Like you act on it. The more that you act on the information that you're getting, if it's positive, right? If something is telling you to hurt yourself or hurt someone or do something stupid, that's not information you want to connect to. But if it's positive, if it's like, you need to start a prayer practice or a mantra practice, or go and get a statue of this deity, or this is the animal that's coming in and this animal wants you to connect to it, go draw a picture of it. Like these are positive, creative, life affirming things. Create your action from that place. Do the things and you will get more connection, more depth of experience, and more information as time goes on. Okay. All right. What's coming through you is powerful. It's unique, and it's wise. And it must be nurtured and protected and brought through in a container that you create that can support it. There's big work to be done. And through those 4 pillars, and then understanding those 3 steps and stages, right? Just like you were going on a date, same exact stuff that you would be doing when you are going through a dating process, you're going through here. And it's understanding all of those pillars and those 3 steps and stages that gets you to the place where you're having successful, effective, nurturing connections. Yeah? Does this make sense, you guys? Do you like it? Okay. Good. So, I've been working on this for a lot and like learning these tools. I've been practicing a ton in a lot of different scenarios and settings, and shamanic channeled group healing events and medicine work and individual work and individual sessions and hands-on healing sessions and pure channeling sessions and, lots and lots of different contexts for this kind of work and finding this mastery. And one of my loves, for some reason, I don't know, it's my Virgo rising maybe, but I love to break this stuff and so that it works and it makes sense. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, right. I'm going on the date. Here are the steps. No problem. I got all these things. This is what I need to be working on. So I'm just going to make you guys an offer. Is that okay? I'm going to share with you what I have going on right now. And we'll look at what I have going on. And if it feels yay, then yay. So if you want to understand yourself and become who you are, right? Master these skills and integrate all of this spiritual work into the life and the practice, basically practicing these 4 pillars and developing your skill set around these 3 steps, practicing the tools, be held in that safe container, then I want to share with you this roadmap that I have that I've been developing for quite a few years called Open Your Channel. And this is my online program that I have coming up. It starts on the 23rd. And this course is really important to me because this is what I needed. This is what I needed to understand what the heck was happening to me and how to control it, how to access it with ease and consistency. And I needed to be able to feel confident in this really, this sometimes super confusing experience and allow myself to be me, right? Like free, whole, and total. And that's what I want for you, is just to really feel you, free, whole, and total. That's the whole point of all of this stuff. And this work allows you to emerge, you know, not just like, oh, I'm getting information, or I'm doing this modality that Kat gave me, and now I have this, you know, whatever system that gets me to be somebody else. Like, no, this is you. This is you, that you are emerging along with your spiritual gifts and abilities, and gives you consistent access and confidence to share what you're receiving. And finally, have fun in your spiritual development and stop worrying if you're doing it right. So if that interests you, if that feels yes, then this is the training you've been waiting for. And, you know, I'm here to help train and empower all of you magical people and empaths and healers and coaches, people who feel like they have big missions, maybe bigger than you want to step into or bigger than you think is possible. And in that, we all need tools, we all need support, we all need practice. So, you know, you're here because you're gifted and you're up leveling. You want to take this work to the next level. You're tired of like being held back by stuff, and you want some new tools, and you want to open in a precise and very functional way, right? We want this to work. So I really want you to join me for Open Your Channel, and I'm going to give you some information as to how this is moving from that element of doubt and fear and lack of understanding and the blocks and beliefs into authentic, effective, safe, sustainable, integrated mastery, like I said earlier. And this course is 4 modules over 8 weeks, and we do it all together. There are video trainings, meditations that are recorded that are released every 2 weeks. And then every 2 weeks we do live teachings that are relevant to the group, practices or meditations, and questions. So you get to ask questions, any question you have, I'm here for you. We do coaching. There's workbook, additional reading materials, a prayer book. There's the Facebook community I am in. I answer every question myself. If you have something you need support on, I'm there. At the end of the program, we all get together online and we open the container, we practice what we've been working on, and we drop into a group channeling call online, which is super fun. And you'll get discounts on private coaching. And there's also a retreat, which is the first weekend of April in New Mexico. And the retreat, we all practice 9 forms of mediumship, and it is epic, incredible, totally the way to go, and super amazing. And also, this is a prerequisite for joining my my year-long program practice community, which we work with different beings every single month with practices, meditations, and teachings, and ways that we connect with different beings, from angels to aliens to ancestors to animal spirits to nature spirits to the whole bit. So in module 1, we go back to that first pillar, and we understand the why, where you're coming from, where you're going, how those are related, how to transform your own consciousness inside of that, so that what you're connecting to is coming from a higher state of your own being, to understand the different forms of mediumship and how you fit into that. So all the different forms of mediumship we go into, the different kinds of clairvoyance that there are, and start looking at where you fit. And then the working with like context of what you're dealing with, different kinds of spirits, where the spirits, you know, where they're at in sort of the hierarchy of spirits, what you might be experiencing or coming across, where it might be giving you information about yourself. We start looking at, okay, well, if I'm coming across this, what does it mean? What does it mean about me? What am I here to work on because of this? How is this reflective of me? and getting context, dealing with fear and doubt and all of the things we've been talking about, and developing this higher functional relationship with your higher self. So that you're able to call it in, recognize it, feel it, speak from it, and use this higher self over soul to help you to translate what you're receiving so that you're more safe, and so that your discernment is higher, and so that your physical body is not as burdened by the vibrational shifts that can happen in this kind of work. So this is the first thing we work on, and that's really important and really helps a lot. You don't realize how much it's going to help until you do it. In module 2, we really go into the embodiment piece around the energy body, raising the vibration, different practices that we're using to work on clearing and the central channel, and to connect to the above and below. We're developing those tools, like I said, right? Those tools and triggers that work for you, and how to clear, to clean, to open, to prepare. So basically, I come over to your house and I'm like, all right, really, you need to make the bed and do the dishes and put on a new shirt. That one doesn't look good on you. You're going to go on the date. And then you come home from the date and I'm like, how'd it go? Tell me all about her. Let's talk about the plan for the next date. So it's all those things, right? Open, close, how to be safe and protected in this experience, how to build energies with what the energies you want, and maybe not the ones that you don't want. And if there are things like shadows, things that would be demons, look like, you know, these different things, like, what do we do about that? I got you. Like, really, we're going to work through that. And to really feel that essence, core, safe, protected, confident inside of this. As you step into the third module, it's all about mastery, that deeply felt sovereignty, more boundaries and discernment, more practices and tools. And based on the group, because we have these live coaching, teaching practices and stuff, I have the meditations and the practices that I've already built into the program, but I'm also going to be adding in a lot more this year, and making sure that whoever's in the program, I'm really tuning into what it is that you need, and we're developing more intuitive practices. So how do you improve your intuition, and how do you build your field even stronger and raise your vibration, and giving you some of these practices that are really, really supportive in this work. It's so exciting. Okay, and then we go into integrating the channel, and this is like, okay, I have this new awareness, new intuition, new skills, new shifts. What do I do with this? So how do I handle that? How do I take care of my health and vitality in this work? What do I do with this information? What do I share? What do I not share? All of these things that come up when you're doing this, and how to figure out how this fits into your life. Is this the thing you're going to do, and you're going to put your shingle out and do this? Or is this a part of something you're already doing? Or does this change what you're doing, and now it's morphing and changing into something else? And I love to help support people through that process of like, oh, this is changing things. Let's figure out what it actually looks like now. So, you know, this program works because you're going to get the context you need. We're going to go slow to advance with mastery, so that if you're not ready for a practice yet, because you're like, I'm still working on this practice, I'm not quite there yet, then you don't have to do the next practice. You don't have to do this next energy practice that might be more psychically opening. What you can do is you can hold off on that, because you're going to have lifetime access to this course. So you might come back later and work on that later, depending on where you're at. Because stability and functioning is held in high regard. And that means I want your life to work. I don't want to blow you out. I don't want to destroy your life. I don't want you to become super ungrounded. I want you to be grounded, and for your life to be effectively working for you. And that's something that I've seen in my programs, is that there can be a tendency, people go and do a program or work with someone or go do medicine work or something, and they become really destabilized. I'm not interested in destabilizing anyone. I want your life to work. If your life isn't working, what's the point, right? this isn't just theory. You're going to get practices. You're going to have meditations. You're going to get to work on this yourself. And this is about you and your expression, and also learning how this fits into your modality, whether you don't have a modality and you just have a job or business or whatever. But it's interesting. Like I've trained, lots of healers and coaches, but coaches who they're not even coaching spiritual work. They're coaching business work or relationship work, and it fits into their work. Or I've had a dance teacher who was like, this is strange that this channeling work is fitting into my teaching people how to dance. So it really fits. And again, here's all the stuff you get. It's tons of stuff. And it's going to be 8 weeks and lots of practices and meditations and additional materials for you. I'll have book suggestions for you to do. And then there's, all kinds of stuff, discounts and the channeling call and everything. So here's my investment stuff. There's lots of numbers here because I want to be able to give you payment plans for those of you that this is going to support. Generally, I'm sorry, at the bottom, it says a 3, but it's supposed to be a 6 there. Generally, I will offer you a 3 or 6 month payment plan if you need it. And then there's options to pay in full. And the early bird is till February 18th. So I think that's this next Tuesday, I believe. So you have a few more days to sign up. If you want to just do the course, it's $997. And that will give you a really great basis. And that will also like prerequisite you into if you want to sign up for the retreat, or if you want to do the year-long program, amazing. Then that's like the basic where you want to start. But you have options of doing the course, coming to the retreat, or doing some VIP options. And so these would include 3 sessions with me and doing the course, or like everything, you get it all. And the early bird price for that VIP option number 1 is $1,897. And for the all in all is $2,600 for the early bird. So, and there's options. So lots of options of ways that you can sign up for this. And if you're one of the first 3 people and you want to receive a private free online session with me, then you're going to sign up. And for the next 3 people, I'm just getting my link so I can put the link up in the chat. Then you'll get an extra session with me. So if you just say yes on here, and you can get I'm gonna put this in the chat. Okay, let's see, all panelists and attendees. So here's the link. So now one thing is that I didn't really feel like putting all the payment plans in the okay, wait, I have another bonus. Basically, if you sign up in the first 48 hours, you're going to get to ask the first questions for an additional bonus live call that I'm going to be hosting with a guest channel. And they're going to, and so you're going to get to ask we're not going to be able to ask a lot of questions, but you'll get to ask some of the first questions. So you'll get I get to ask the first question. So that's going to be in the next 48 hours. If you sign up, you get to the top of that list. And so the course, on my website, you'll see that there's the buttons for joining. I didn't put the payment plan buttons in there. So if you need a payment plan, please just email support@katherinebird.com, or message me on Facebook or whatever. And we'll get you the payment plan button so that you can sign up at the payment plan rate that you need. And if you're feeling like a little bit of doubt here, then if you feel like maybe you're not experienced enough and you get it, like I'm going to break this stuff down. I'm going to break down a lot of stuff in this program that you need, and you'll get it. And maybe you're not really sure if you're a channel. And I've had quite a few actually people who've taken this course and been like, I don't even know if I'm a channel. And what I can only say to you is that we're all channels. We're all bringing through information. We're all connected to source. We're all connected to light. We're all connected to healing. And it really is that piece around finding out what your connection points are and developing them. And this training is different because it really is very holistic. It's not just about like, let me blast you open and give you a bunch of like activation and then no context and skills and tools to work with. You're going to get a lot of skills and tools to work with, and then we'll also work with the opening piece. Yes, and if you want to just pay for the course now, it can be possible to add the retreat later. We'll probably have to make a decision about the retreat sometime in March. And again, sign up now, do the whole thing, and get the bonuses, and let me know if you're signing up. And does anybody else have any questions? Any other questions here? Now is the time. Okay. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, I mean, definitely, it will help with self-doubt, because there's just that practice point around, number one, Lena, I think we all have to come to terms with the fact that doubt is going to be there sometimes. Like, we're going to doubt it. And I will even still have moments in my life after doing this for this long when sometimes I'll get off a session, I'll be like, is that really what just happened? Like, there's that part of me that's like, is that really just happened? Or I've been in like a shamanic channeled group healing events, and I have had stuff coming out of my mouth, and there's this little voice that's like, I'm doing something, so I'm smacking someone and doing weird things to them and singing and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, there's this little voice that's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Stop doing that. That's so crazy. That's so stupid. That's not going to work. What are you doing? What's the point? Why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. That can't be right. Right. And there's that part of us that if we feed it and we stop and we give into it, it controls us more. And so I believe it's really important for us to figure out how to be, okay, little voice, this is what I'm doing anyway. This is what I said anyway. And to shake it off and to let go of it and to practice and, relieve ourselves of the burden of it, because it's not ours in the end. And to see where it's coming from too, to go into those deeper inquiries around where it's coming from. So everybody's got the doubt. It's a big thing. So there's a question about electronics and technology. Okay, I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but it's like, oh, that technology kind of gets messed up when, yeah, it's totally a thing, right? We're working with energy. It's a thing. I've especially noticed in channeling calls at different times with our channeling group, especially like when we worked on galactics. There's just this gurgly, goobly sort of undercurrent staticky thing that would happen on the calls, or different things where, yeah, you're running energy in a certain way, and then you're touching something and it's going off. And some people are more like that than others. So it's just important to understand yourself and all of that. And yeah, so screen flashing. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, things can happen. We can be getting information through technology because technology is very malleable by energy. And we can also be sort of, getting our own personal energetic effect on technology can also be happening. And sometimes information is coming in on in ways that we don't necessarily want it to come in, or we're not listening, and then it's coming in a different way. It's trying to get our attention, and different people get this in different ways, which is why it's important to really understand, like, oh, I kind of get information like this is a signal. If that's a signal, what does that signal mean? What's the translation of that signal? What's it trying to tell me? Is it trying to tell me like, hey, pay attention, this is important? Is it trying to tell me, whatever it's trying to tell me, right? Oftentimes we're just getting that information of like, hey, pay attention, look over here. This is important for you to be aware of right now, or, something like that. So we can also be developing these little tools and tricks for ourselves so that when something's happening, we're paying attention, and like I said, acting on it and taking action, right? I know that I've had experiences back in the day where I've had like a book fall off the shelf at the bookstore. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why did this book on healing in this particular way fall off the shelf? And then that person becoming a mentor. So yeah, and it's not going to happen all the time, right? It's not. We're not. It's like, yeah. And so there can be a lot of, so there's just questions about a lot of like kind of random stuff that's coming in, and random experiences, and hearing things and seeing things in a certain way. And this can happen. It can come in different ways. Um, and it takes that practice of either practicing listening and learning how to translate. Thanks, Lena. I'll see you soon. Or of learning how to shut things down and say no. And some of you might need some help and some practice in saying, no, I'm not available. I'm not available for this. I'm not listening right now. This is not what I'm doing, and I am not going here. So that's also a piece that many of us need to learn in our process of opening and closing and discerning and all of those things, which can be a thing. And sometimes it's, when you're first opening, it can be really intense sometimes, and there's a lot happening and a lot of energy moving, and there's a lot of blockages being cleared. So sometimes we think something's coming in, but really it's just like energy moving through our body, or energy, blockages going through our channels, and there's so much energy moving through us that it's like blasting through our system, so that we can get to those higher level vibrational frequencies without this old energy stagnation that we've been having, and so that we can be reaching those higher levels. So really supported by having some energy practices, by doing some physical movement practices, qigong, these things, so that we can be grounded and sourced and moving energy consciously through our system, so that it's moving through in a way that feels more healthy for us, instead of troubling. Yeah, right. So there's a lot of vibration, there's a lot of vibrational change, there's a lot of things that can occur, and it can feel scary and intense. And the important thing to remember is that you're okay. The important thing to remember is that the core essence of everything, you're safe, and that you're going through an awakening process. If you're having intense experiences like are being described here in the chats, if you're having those intense experiences, that it can feel like a lot, and you can really question it. You can question your sanity around it, and that it's usually a process that you're going through. It's not going to be like that forever. It's not going to be like always that you're going to be going through this, and it can take um, right. So the intensity, what I'm getting from Connie here is this intensity of the experiences with the vibration and the energy moving. Once she starts asking questions and getting answers and using the pendulum and using the tarot and like actually tuning in and getting answers, then there's not as much intensity, right? Because it's like, hey, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. And now you're like, oh, I'm getting some answers. Okay. So I'm tuning in and getting some answers. It doesn't have to be beating me over the head with pay attention. Yeah. Great. So I hope that you're going to join me, and I really look forward to, if we haven't met, to meeting you and to dropping in more about all of these things. And really appreciate your time. I know you have so many things going on and so many things to do. And I will be talking to you soon. Again, if you have any questions, you can always email me at kat@katherinebird.com. And there's a lot of additional materials and resources for you there. So please feel free to keep checking in with me, even if you don't do this course, to let me know how you're doing. All right, and I'm going to stop the share. Why don't you email me your question, Connie? Okay. All right, and I will, oh, okay, I see. All right. All right. So bye, everybody.